Shall we get started?
Let's do it.
Great. So, first question I'd maybe like to get out here. Tell me how you got started in MMA and maybe a first discipline, if there was one specifically.
Yeah, I started off in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at first in Tampa, Florida. I was delivering pizzas. I delivered to a house. They were outside doing Jiu-Jitsu. It caught my eye. I was very interested in what they were doing. It was obvious they weren't just wrestling. So, hey, what's going on with this? Like, what's the deal with this? They kind of broke it down, and that was probably like 2009. And I joined the gym like 2 weeks later, and I just never looked back.
Yeah. Now, you've had a year off since your last fight, the fight against Ricky Simone. How affected was your training? I know we've all suffered through this pandemic. How affected was your training throughout this? And what have you been doing in the interim?
The only thing that really changed was the big group training slowed down. It was more about bringing in the right guys that would be consistent and that we can count on, and then just not doing the whole big group training and just kind of locking in with the certain wrestling coaches, BJJ coaches, Muay Thai coaches, and then bringing a small group along with us to get the work in. But nothing has changed too much.
Great. And talking about your last fight, the Ricky Simone fight, watching it back, I watched it back earlier, and one thing I noticed is you really seem to weaponize both pressure, just controlled pressure, and cardio and volume. Was that an essential part of the game plan going into that fight?
Yeah, we wanted to, in general, I guess you could say, you would try to keep the wrestler on his back foot, make sure he's not coming forward. Most wrestlers, when they're coming forward, they get real comfortable, and it's easier for them to shoot. It's a lot harder for them to shoot and not telegraph their shots when they're backing up. So that was the game plan: keep my hands in his face, keep him backing up, and then try to counter as much as possible.
Yeah, and looking at the stats of that fight, you landed 90 total strikes throughout them 3 rounds. You seem to hurt him on multiple occasions. Well, you seem to land clean shots on multiple occasions, but he seemed to take it pretty well. Were you surprised he wasn't hurt or dropped at any point? Because you really seem to land quite a lot, quite clean.
Not at first. I mean, like in the second round, I caught him some real clean shots, and then it was kind of like, all right, he's obviously not going anywhere, so just slow it down a little bit, take your time, pick your shots, and try not to force it. So I just pulled back on the power a little bit. I didn't want to get overextended. I was taken down, and then just touched him, and then it just had to really. It was like, obviously I always want to finish, and but I got to be cool with it, just getting the decision win, and it worked out because we still got the bonus, so it was pretty cool. But especially early on, I would get upset if I didn't finish the fight. I think this fight, I kind of showed a little bit of maturity. I was like, all right, well, we're not finishing him, we're not getting him out of here. Just kind of pick him apart, and then just basically win the fight, and that's what we did.
Yeah, win the fight as opposed to, as you say, overextend and get taken down and lose a close decision.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
So you mentioned the fight was fight of the night. Your next fight coming up next Saturday is against Marlon Moraes. Now, one thing that's clear about Moraes is he has massive KO power. How do you plan to nullify that? Or is it the same kind of things we're talking about volume and about pressure? Is that something that's... I know you're not going to go into specifics, of course, but...
Yeah, no, it's basically what you said. Like, it's volume and pressure, but also not just hanging out in that middle range. Just hanging out there for no reason. I'm either... And again, this is the most general game plan. You're either all the way in or all the way out. To where he can't kick me with those punches. Kick me with those kicks. And then if he gets wild with the punches, I just close the gap and kind of like nullify that power. You know what I'm saying? You can't. You need that distance and that kind of like what we call. So we got the close A gap, B gap, and C gap. You need to be hanging out in that B gap for a lot of that power to kind of land. And my job is to be disciplined and not just hang out there for the whole 15 minutes and then get caught with something.
Yeah. And maybe touching on Moraes now, he's had a little bit of a rocky couple of fights, I think that's fair to say. He's lost 2 of his last 3, and the fight that he did win against Aldo was kind of controversial, I think is fair. What's your opinion of Moraes as an opponent now?
Yeah, he's in my opinion, he's a stud. You know, he's dangerous. He's been around. He's a veteran. I know when I came off of a loss, like, oh, I bounced back better. So I'm expecting him to kind of be a new and improved Marlon Moraes. If he doesn't, I'm cool. You know, that's perfect. It works more in my favor, but I'm not going to beg on that and bet on that. I'm coming. I believe he's going to be better, faster, stronger. So that's what the Marlon Moraes I'm preparing for.
Yeah. And would it be fair to say that with a win against Moraes, that would be A, your biggest victory, and B, where would that put you in terms of the upper end of the bantamweight division?
Yeah, you know, definitely it will be one of my biggest victories. Obviously, we'll crack into that top 5. And then, you know, I get the opportunity to obviously fight for that #1 contender type fight, or you never know with injury, to potentially slide into a title shot, you know. So that or another big name, you know, a big name like a TJ Dillashaw or Cody Garbrandt or even Sandhagen, you know, you just never know. But it's definitely if once I get the W, I'm sitting in a good spot and we have options.
Yeah, great. And I know that one of your close friends and training partners is Calvin Kattar. Is it safe to say with you two working together, there's an element of iron sharpening iron?
Yeah, definitely. Again, I'm sparring and wrestling and flowing and doing conditioning with, you know, one of the best 45ers out there and the future champion in the 45 division. So like, you know, he's big, he's long, he puts a lot of pressure on me. So I'm not going to see that type of pressure coming out of the 35 division, you know, and don't get it twisted. He can wrestle and he's quick. So, you know, the speed's there, the wrestling's there, and obviously the power's there. So, yeah, man, I get rough rounds all the time through Calvin Kattar, and you know, I feel like I'm prepared everywhere simply because of that. You know, so definitely iron sharpens iron.
Can I ask as well, is it beneficial for you to both be having, obviously he's got his fight the 16th of January, you've got yours the 19th of December. Is it beneficial to you both have fights booked at a similar time because you're obviously both peaking in terms of wages?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So we obviously we're nonstop. We're training all year round, regardless. But it definitely, the motivation and the energy, I guess you could say, changes when we both have a fight booked and we're both in camp and we're both feeling the pressure. And we're both cutting weight and we're both, you know, trying to stay as sharp as possible. So we don't need help doing that, but it's a lot easier to do it when you're doing it with somebody else.
Yeah.
That makes sense, you know?
Yeah, of course, yeah. Now, I know that you're a part of the New England Cartel, which I think is a fantastic name. I really do.
Let's go.
Is it safe to say that the public should expect a couple of belts to be with the New England Cartel in the near
future, for sure? Yeah, no, we're bringing it back to the Northeast, bringing it back to Boston, and you know, we want to be one of the fighting teams that like the whole world gets behind us. You know, I want people in the UK to, you know, represent the cartel. I want people in Japan, Brazil, you know, like want to take over obviously Boston and get part of the, you know, that team atmosphere. You know, we have the Red Sox, we have the Bruins, the Patriots, Celtics, and you know, Boston and New England really gets behind the teams, and we want them to get behind us, just like the Patriots and the Bruins. But I feel like we can do it a little bigger because of everybody likes fighting. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody likes to see a fight. Not everybody likes to watch baseball. Not everybody likes to watch basketball. But in general, I believe everybody likes to watch a fight. You know, like Dana White said, like, no matter where you're at in the world, if a basketball game breaks out, you're like, oh, whatever. But if a fight breaks out, everybody stops and watches it. I don't care who you are. So you don't even have to be an MMA fan, and you're at the bar and you see a big knockout, you're gonna like, whoa, that's huge. You know what I'm saying? If you see a comeback in an NBA game, you're like, whatever, cool. I don't watch the sport, but I don't care who you are. Like, you see a big vicious knockout, you get excited, you jump up and you watch. You know, so I think we could take it to that level where we're worldwide. You know, where we're in Germany or Brazil or Japan and you know, Canada, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And you know, they know about the cartel, they know about New England, and I feel like we're the right people to do it.
Yeah, and maybe just touching on the bantamweight division, as we've mentioned, we've got this, I think, upcoming title fight between Peter Yan and Aljamain Sterling. How do you see that fight going?
I like that fight. It's gonna be fun. I think Aljamain takes that fight. I think he'll win the decision. But you never know. Peter brings great wrestling with some power too. But it's interesting. I hope that fight gets booked soon, man, because I kind of do feel bad for Aljamain. He's just like been sitting around. I know how that feels. So hopefully that gets booked soon and have a clearer picture of where the division's at.
Yeah. And then last question. I know you're busy, so I'll get you out of here after this one. Would you be prepared to give me a prediction for your fight on the 19th of December?
Hell yeah, second round knockout.
Second round knockout. Okay. I'm going straight to the betting shop to put that bet on.
Love it. Love it.
Okay. Well, brilliant. Thanks a lot for talking to me today, Rob. I'll